Morning. Welcome to the regular council meeting for the Corporation of the Township of Minden Hills for Thursday, March 12th, 2026. In review of today's agenda, we have 3 public meetings scheduled. 2 of the public meetings are for zoning bylaw amendments, and the 3rd public meeting is for amendments to the township's official plan and zoning bylaw for source water protection. Madam Deputy Clerk, please read with roll call.
Counselor Sisson,
Present.
Counselor Saini,
Present.
Counselor McKelvey,
Present.
Counselor Johannesson,
Present.
Counselor Ingram,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Shell is away and sends for regrets. Mayor Carter,
Present. We respectfully acknowledge that the Township of Minden Hills is located on Treaty 20 Michisagi territory and in the traditional territory of the Michisagi and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which are Curve Lake, Rama, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nations. We acknowledge the shared presence of Indigenous nations throughout the area and recognize its original Indigenous inhabitants as the stewards of its lands and waters since time immemorial. I call this meeting to order at 9:01 a.m. Madam Deputy Clerk, please proceed reading the resolution for the approval of the agenda.
moved by Counselor Saini, seconded by Counselor Johannesson. Be it resolved that the March 12, 2026 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
All those in favor? That is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Councillor McKelvey?
I, Tammy McKelvey, declare a direct pecuniary interest on council agenda items number 5.3 and 12.6C, item titled Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw Amendments for Source Water Protection. For the following reason, I own land directly impacted by this adjacent to the Leadwood Pines wellhead.
Okay, noted. Ms. Doherty, if you wish to join us. So I call this public meeting to order at 9:02 a.m. Today, there are 2 public meetings held by council under Section 34 of the Planning Act, being for applications PLZBA 2026006 and PLZBA 2026008, and 1 public meeting held under Section 17 and 34 of the Planning Act, being amendments related to source water protection. These public meetings are an opportunity to present to council and the public the details and background to the proposed amendments and to receive comments from the public and agencies before a council decision is made. If a person would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision of council to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the person does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions before the bylaw is passed, the person is not entitled to appeal the decision. Okay, sorry. We need a resolution for the public meeting.
Moved by Counselor Saini, seconded by Counselor Ingram, that council adjourn its regular meeting at 9:04 a.m. to proceed into a public meeting regarding the following. Report number 26-11, Planning, Application for Zoning Bylaw Amendment, PLZBA 2026006, Whitney Plastics Limited. Report 26-12, Planning, Application for Zoning Bylaw Amendment, PLZBA 2026008, Langdon and Jamal. Report 26-13, Planning, Amendments to the Township Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw for Source Water Protection.
All those in favor? That is carried. Public meeting number 1. I call this meeting to order at 9:04 a.m. This public meeting is declared open and is to consider a zoning bylaw amendment for part of Lot 3, Concession A in the geographic township of Anson, municipally known as 101 Bobcaygeon Road. Would the planning department please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application.
Is it on now? Okay.
Yes.
Check.
Be doing Lego later.
Perfect. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Council. So through you, Mr. Mayor, the subject property for application PLZBA 2026-006 is located within the downtown designation of the township's official plan and is also zoned village commercial or C4. As per the application, the owner is proposing to convert one of 3 existing commercial units into an apartment. The proposed application would serve to permit the renovation of that particular unit to create one new 1-bedroom residential unit. The 3rd commercial space, which is proposed for renovation, has been offered for rent since it was purchased 5 years ago by the current property owner. Despite their many attempts, including listing with professional real estate services, the owner has been unsuccessful in renting that space for commercial use. The amendment would serve to rezone the property to Village Commercial Exception 5, C4 or 5, to permit the conversion of that commercial space into a residential unit. Although not significant intensification for housing options, the proposed conversion will redevelop an underutilized space, which serves to provide small-scale growth in Minden's downtown area and supports an alternate form of housing. The existing building is currently compliant with the zoning bylaw, and there's no intent of expanding that footprint. The new residential unit would also provide for 2 parking spaces, which would comply with the residential parking requirements in the zoning bylaw. Notice of this application was circulated to all neighboring property owners and agencies in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act on February 20th, 2026. And we haven't received any comments on the application.
Okay, does the applicant have a presentation or wish to make any comments? No, please. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Okay, good morning. My name is Dale Shoemaker. I'm the owner of 101 Bob Cajun Road in Minden Hills. Thank you for that. That was a very, very nice presentation. Honestly, tried to rent that unit out. We had 2 people look at it in well over 4 or 5 years. And what they were saying is it doesn't front onto the main street. So it wasn't a good fit for their application in retail. So with the housing shortage, I'd like to kind of give back and make an apartment and help out the local community somehow, if I can do that. It's a real nice building. I really like it. I put a lot of money into that building to make it look good. And I'd like to continue on to make the town look good. That's about it. We have a few different plans of apartment inside. Everything's going to be brand new and at a reasonable rent. That's my end game, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm gonna get back to questions. Right, so members of the public now have an opportunity to provide their comments. Start with attendees participating electronically and then proceed with members of the public attending in person. Are there anybody attending electronically? No. Is there anybody from the public who wishes to speak to this? Seeing none. Okay, are there any questions or comments from council? Councilor Johannesson.
Thank you. I think this is great. I was just wondering where the parking is going to be for the tenants.
Excuse me, the parking, for the tenants is directly behind the building. I believe, it's about 25 feet wide, maybe 20, and it's over 70 feet long. So there's lots of parking for two, like two vehicles.
Counselor Sani?
Yeah, I just want to say I've watched the renovations of this building over some years now, and great job that it's looking really great and some people doing some really great things there. And I really enjoy the idea of combining the housing with our downtown commercial areas. It provides people needed, transportation is not going to be an issue to get to work if you're working downtown, for example. So there's many good planning reasons for doing this. So thanks for providing more housing to our community as well. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions, Counselor McKelvey?
I agree. I applaud what you're doing here, and it's definitely a housing need here. So I too have just some questions on the parking. So there's already one apartment in there?
That's correct. I have a caretaker that's one of my employees that lives on site. And because the building is old, we're in constant contact of anything that goes wrong sideways. A good example was last year, the city was piling snow up against my building, and then in the spring I had a basement leak. So all the snow melted, of course. Now I'm informed of that. Corrective action was taken, so there's no problems. It's just it's good to have a caretaker on site. Because these buildings are old, so if anything was wrong, I'm the first one to know and I can take action and fix things up.
Okay, so really then we're dealing with 4 parking spots that we need, Amanda?
Yep.
And through the chair, we have confirmed that the space at the back of the building is wide enough that it can provide the 2 for the accessory dwelling unit, as well as 2 for the proposed residential unit. They would be in tandem for each of those 2.
Okay, so then my final question is, I went and looked at this and that parking area isn't plowed now. So I'm assuming the people are using the village green parking lots.
No, they're parking on, my tenant employee Joe is parking on the grass and he's shoveling it when he can. When it gets too bad, I bring up my own snow plow and do it. But in the future, I want to actually pave it. Because Stedman's beside me has their lot paved, so I'll pave right over to the public parking.
We just need to make sure that your tenants don't park there overnight and impede our snow removal. Causes conflicts, but no, other than that, thank you for providing some much needed housing.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? As a result of these proceedings, does the planning department have any recommendations or comments that you wish to bring to the attention of council?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, as outlined in the staff report, we're recommending that council receive report 26-11 planning as information. And also that bylaw 26-29 being a bylaw to approve a zoning bylaw amendment for the land subject to PLZBA 2026-006 be referred to the bylaw section of the agenda.
If there are no further questions, this completes the public meeting process. Anyone wishing to obtain notice of the decision may do so by making a written submission requesting such to the township's clerk. I now declare this portion of the public meeting closed at 9:14 a.m. Now declare the second public meeting open at 9:14 a.m. This public meeting is declared open and is to consider a zoning bylaw amendment for part of the lot 22, concession 13 in the geographic township of Snowden, municipally known as 1498 Ritchie Falls Road. Would the planning department please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed bylaw and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the purpose of application PLZBA 2026-008 is to fulfill a condition of consent application H-018-25, which would sever one new building lot in addition to the retained lot. The subject property is designated rural and environmental protection in the official plan and is currently zoned rural and hazard land. There was an environmental impact study prepared by Riverstone Environmental Solutions to support the consent application. And that identified wetland features, water courses, fish habitat, and potential habitat for several endangered and threatened species. The amendment will have the effect of rezoning the natural heritage features that are currently under the rural zone to the hazard land zone on both the severed and retained parcels, which does include portions of a provincially significant wetland and the associated 30-meter buffer for that wetland as well. Lands zoned hazard land that are not considered environmentally sensitive based on the environmental impact study are intended to be rezoned to rural zone. The severed lot will also be rezoned from rural to rural residential exception 20, RR-20. That special provision will direct development outside of the wetland features, inclusive of disturbance created through construction. So any new development within that zone would be required to maintain a minimum 5-meter setback from the hazard land boundary. Notice of the application was circulated to all neighboring property owners and agencies in accordance with the Planning Act on February 20th, and we've received no formal comments on the application.
Just for clarification, I had the application H-018-24.
Yes, that was a typo. I'm sorry. So it is 25.
It is 25. Okay. All right. Does the applicant have a presentation or wish to make any comments? Okay, are you going to promote them?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Mayor. I'm Steve Langdon, the owner of the said property. I really have no other comments.
Okay. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to provide their comments. We'll start with attendees participating electronically and then proceed with members of the public attending in person. Anybody attending electronically? Is there anybody attending in person who wishes to comment on this? Yep, please come to the microphone. Please state your name and address for the record and then begin when you're ready.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Greg Rowe and I live at 1477 Ritchie Falls Road, which is immediately across the road from this piece of land. And my neighbor and I are just looking for a bit of clarification because I find this language, this isn't a criticism, but I find the language circuitous at best. So we're just curious as to, it says here, recognized site-specific provisions. And we just don't know what that means. That's all.
Doherty, explain that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the site-specific provisions were, as mentioned in the presentation I provided, where they would be required to meet a 5-meter setback from any hazard land zone on the same property.
So is that in reference to a building then, like a house or?
Yes. Any structure, any building or structure on the property would be required to meet an additional 5-meter setback from a hazard land zone.
Okay, thanks so much. Rumors are rampant in Haliburton County at times. So we've heard all sorts of things about this property and we're just concerned as neighbors, you know, that there wasn't going to be a business in there or some kind of thing like that. But if I understand it correctly, it's zoned rural residential, but then I heard the word exception, I think.
Through Mr. Mayor. So when a property has site-specific provisions, like the 5-meter setback from the hazard land, the terminology is to say that it has an exception. So it has a different exception than other provisions in the zoning bylaw. So it's just referring to the fact that it has a site-specific provision. It's planner terminology.
So we could rest comfortably thinking that this is still rural, residential rural.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So the retained parcel will remain rural. So any of the permitted uses on a rural property that are appropriate there are permitted. Right now it's a residential use. And for the severed parcel that's currently proposed, it would be rural residential. So that's pretty much limited to residential uses. And anything that's permitted as accessory, it could mean something like a home occupation, but those are as per the zoning bylaw.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak to this? Okay. Okay, are there any questions or comments from council? Sir McKelvey?
Amanda, just a clarification on the Schedule A to the proposed bylaw. It shows, hash marks, I guess that lands to be rezoned from hazard land to rural. And I'm struggling to find corresponding.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So it's quite small.
Okay.
It's within so there's the part that's going to be rezoned from rural to hazard land. There's a slight twist in the middle of them. And because of the scale of it, that's the spot that right now is zoned hazard land, but it's not an environmental feature or required to be part of the 30-meter setback.
Okay, I see it now. Thank you.
I had to look for it as well.
Okay, any other questions from council? As a result of these proceedings, does the planning department have any recommendations or comments that you wish to bring to the attention of council?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, again, as outlined in the staff report, we're recommending that council receive report 26-12 planning as information, and also that bylaw 26-30 being a bylaw to approve a zoning bylaw amendment for the land subject of PLZBA 2026-008 to be referred to the bylaw section of the agenda.
If there are no further questions, this completes the public meeting process. Anyone wishing to obtain notice of the decision may do so by making a written submission requesting such to the township's clerk. I now declare this public meeting closed at 9:22 a.m. Public meeting 3, you were, okay? I call this meeting to order at 9:22 a.m. This public meeting is declared open and is considered official plan and zoning bylaw amendments, which have application to the entire township of Minden Hills. However, will serve to more specifically introduce policies for source water protection within the Minden, Lutterworth Pines, and Kinmount municipal drinking water systems. Would the planning department please summarize the purpose and effect of the proposed amendments and provide any additional information and correspondence relevant to the application?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So under the Clean Water Act, municipalities with municipal drinking water systems must implement policies which are outlined in regionally established source protection plans. And one of the ways that this is accomplished is by reflecting those policies in the local official plan and zoning bylaw. Council did consider these amendments at their meeting on February 12th. However, today's meeting, being the formal public meeting, will allow council to ask any more questions or provide comments, but also for the public and agencies to review and comment on the amendments as well. There were a few minor revisions following discussions with council on February 12th that I'll just draw attention to. The first was that we did include a definition of transport pathway to the zoning bylaw amendment. That was something that we neglected to do, and certainly not everybody knows what a transport pathway is. And in both the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment, we've added wording to clarify that legally existing land uses that are considered prohibited uses, they will be permitted to continue, but they'll require a risk management plan to be in place, and that would be negotiated with our risk management official. The proposed policies and provisions are intended to reflect the policies of the source protection plan. So again, just to clarify, staff haven't included any additional policies that would be more restrictive or place additional requirements on property owners. Also, any policy direction in the source protection plan that grants authority to a municipality to implement additional policies. We've noted that in the amendments, but we've not actually, again, included those additional policies. Those would be considered outside the scope of this particular amendment. And if council wants to entertain those in the future, certainly able to, but we didn't actually incorporate policies. There is a revised source protection plan that has been with the ministry for review that would have an impact on some of the policies and land development requirements that are currently in place under the source protection plan. Actually, when preparing for this meeting, staff were still awaiting those approvals, but I just received notice yesterday that the new plan has now been formally approved and is now in effect. So the new source protection plan, however, I can say will not impact these drafted amendments. We did work previously with the Source Protection Coalition and the project leads there to make sure that the changes from that new plan were integrated into these amendments appropriately. So there's nothing, thankfully, that we would need to change from that. The source protection plan is implemented to both be consistent with the provincial planning statement and otherwise to complement policy direction contained therein. The PPS referred to directs that planning authorities shall implement necessary restrictions on development and site alteration to make sure that we are protecting municipal drinking water supplies and the designated vulnerable areas. And this also includes planning for stormwater management as part of planning for and maintaining municipal sewage and water services. So the amendments are reflective of that policy direction and are therefore consistent with the provincial planning statement. The plan does require municipalities with municipal drinking water systems to include source protection policies, and vulnerable areas are also to be identified within the local official plan and the zoning bylaw. Although these requirements are already sort of legislated to us through the Clean Water Act, these amendments will nonetheless also bring the township into conformity with those policies of the county official plan. I did note in the report there are certain limitations to implementing the policies that are currently in the county plan due to changes in provincial legislation. However, given the broad nature of the county policies, I am of the opinion that the amendments would not conflict with that county official plan direction. And county staff also submitted comments which identified that the amendments are generally in conformity with the county plan and that they have no concerns with the amendments. Notice of the meeting was published in both the Minden Times and the Highlander on February 18th and 19th. As well, we posted this on the township's website, both on the notices or newsroom portion, as well as on the township source protection page that we maintain. The commenting period for public bodies has been extended beyond the public meeting just to ensure adequate time for commenting. And then if any comments are received, those would be brought forward to council at the March 26th meeting for consideration. So far, the only comments that we formally received were from the County of Haliburton, though.
Just to clarify, you mentioned ministry, it's Ministry of Environment, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Members of the public will now have an opportunity to provide their comments. We will start with attendees participating electronically and then proceed with members of the public attending in person. Is anybody, nobody is attending electronically? Is there anybody here in person who wishes to speak or comment on this? Seeing none. Are there any questions or comments from council? Councillor Ingram first.
Thank you. Through the chair, I have several questions. I'll try and keep it as quick as I can. In section 17, existing parking lots of 50 spaces or more require a fine. Does that include like Roman Club, Legion?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, so it's limited to privately owned, so anything owned by the township would not be subject to that, although we have confirmed those with and we do ask our risk management official just to be sure. It would just be anything that's been is privately owned.
Lutterworth Pines in the mapping I'm looking at here. Can you explain, and then I know you didn't set this map, but can you explain on the Lutterworth one, they have a big point heading east in the private property, but they don't go west and cover the septics, the rest of the septics in the Lutterworth Estates, the Lutterworth Pines subdivision.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, so looking at the Lutterworth Mines mapping, so there's sort of two overlapping red areas. Within those are the actual wellheads. The rest of and then there's an area of influence around them. The other wellhead protection areas that are shown on there in the orange and the yellow, those would have been determined through technical studies about the flow of water or potential contaminants, proper use, whatever, into those. So that would be based on things like topography, soil, the grade of the land, where the impact is. So it wouldn't be shown to, in this case, and this is well beyond my technical expertise, but at my very high level understanding, it wouldn't be shown to the west because those lands, despite being, they flow, exactly in a different direction.
The other thing I have is, private landowners within this area that are going to require risk management plan. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, only if they are doing something on the property that would now be listed as a prohibited activity.
The sand dome at, or salt dome at Kim Mountain storage area, there are snow storage. Is that going to eliminate that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, any existing uses are not going to be eliminated. They will just require risk management plans that will be negotiated with the risk management official. So now that the new source protection plan is in place, like a lot of this is already legislatively required. We're just recognizing it. But with the new plan now in effect as of yesterday, our risk management official will start reaching out to property owners, negotiating those requirements, and working on that over the next couple of years.
So there's going to be help available to landowners if they require it in regards to making a plan?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes. So the way that it works is that the risk management official would connect with the property owner. And in some cases, the risk management plans are very simple. It's keep doing what you're doing. Sometimes there are mitigations that go into place, but it's talked through and negotiated with the property owner.
Perfect. And the last one is, who's our rep? Do we have a name?
For the risk management official, we use Cambium as the company, and right now Terry Cox provides our primary risk management official
Thank you.
responsibilities.
Awesome. Thank you.
Councillor Sandy, did you have a question?
I did, but I think most of them have been answered. I just want to say that thanks for bringing this to the council at this time. Being on the Source Water Protection Board, it's going to be nice to say that Minden Hills is now in compliance. So great to see this come forward. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Seeing none. As a result of these proceedings, does the planning department have any recommendations or comments that you wish to bring to the attention of council?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So again, as outlined in the staff report, we're recommending that council receive report 26-13 planning as information. We were recommending that any necessary revisions after today's meeting would be incorporated into the amendments and addressed at the follow-up report based on the comments. I'd say that will be a very quick report and revision to the next meeting. So bylaws to adopt OPA 18 and the zoning bylaw amendment would be brought forward to March 26th meeting for approval. Following adoption of the OPA, there is a record that needs to be submitted to the county as the formal approval authority for the amendment. And then the zoning bylaw amendment would come into effect once the OPA has been approved by the county.
Okay. If there are no further questions, this completes the public meeting process. Anyone wishing to obtain notice of the decision may do so by making a written submission requesting such to the township's clerk. I now declare this portion of the public meeting closed at 9:34 a.m. Okay. Madam Deputy Clerk, please proceed with reading the resolution. Return to the regular meeting.
Moved by Counselor Saney, seconded by Counselor Ingram, that council adjourned its public meeting and resumes the regular council meeting at 9:35 a.m.
All those in favor? That is carried. Adoption of minutes for February 26th regular council meeting. Any comments or amendments? Seeing none, please read the resolution.
Moved by Counselor McKelvey, seconded by Counselor Sisson. Be it resolved that council approves the February 26, 2026 regular council meeting minutes.
All those in favor? That is carried. Payment of accounts were included for information. Mayor's report, not really too much to talk about. Thankfully, over the last 2 days, there was a fear that there would be an awful lot to talk about, assuming that we would have had communications and power. But we here in Minden pretty much dodged most of the wrath of the storm. So that is wonderful news. Aside from that, not much else to say. Lots going on, lots of public interest meetings that are taking place around the county. So please look at our website and other social media to inform yourself and to participate if you so desire. Councillor Saney, Roma.
Yes, thank you through the mayor. Just 2 items to report on. One of them that you've probably seen advertised on TV, if you're watching TV, is the Ontario Northlander, which is the Ontario's transportation train from Toronto up to Timmins. So that should be opening very soon this year. One of the things that we're doing at Roma is monitoring the ride share in terms of how do you get to the stations where this is offered. So for Minden, for example, the closest station would be in Bracebridge. So that would be the opportunity then, instead of going down to Toronto for all these events with your car, you could park your car in Bracebridge, avoid the Toronto traffic jams, and take the Ontario Northlander. So having a bus service between here and there and to these stations is something that we're going to be looking at Roma, and that I'm certainly started to ask for in terms of Minden having access to public transportation to this Northlander as well as other communities. So that's one item, and any people that are interested in this, stay tuned. I did not attend the Zoom meeting yesterday with the first one we had on this because of our power outage, but I plan on attending the second one and getting a report back from the first one. And we'll let you know at that time what took place. The other option that I wanted to talk about is attending the Teeny Tiny Summit. We have a Teeny Tiny Summits, as you know, is a program with the Rural Ontario Ministry, as well as with Roma. We support them financially to carry on with these programs. And I'm just pulling up the details as we speak. The next Teeny Tiny Summit for your calendar is March 31st, and it's from 9:30 to 11. And Peter Kenyon will be speaking. He's with Australians Bank of Ideas. For those of you that might have met Peter Kenyon before, he did come here to Minden and provided that Teeny Tiny Summit in person. This one's going to be a Zoom meeting, but please be sure to sign up. And if you go to the Ontario Ministry of Rural Affairs, you'll see the advertisement there. You can search for it and sign up ahead of time. And that's March 31st. So be sure to attend. Always inspiring. I know we had a great time here when it was in Minden. I'm told it was the best we ever had, but maybe that's my bias in hearing. So please attend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Correspondence communication, usually under part of the consent agenda. We received a request for discussion on one item from Councillor Johannesson requesting that correspondence 11.1 be pulled. Madam Deputy Clerk, please proceed with the reading of the resolution.
Moved by Councillor McKelvey, seconded by Councillor Sisson, that council direct staff to pull forward the following item for discussion. 11.1, Mr. Kent Needham, collection of mat tax short-term rentals.
All those in favor? That is carried. We're going to read the next resolution. Thanks.
Moved by Councillor McKelvey, seconded by Councillor Sisson, that council receives correspondence and communications items 11.2 to 11.4 as information.
All those in favor? That is carried. Going back to 11.1, Councillor Johannesson. You speak to this?
Thank you. I'm not in favor of waiving anything, but I would like to know, maybe, consideration of other forms of payment. I'm not sure what we have, and I just want to make sure the public knows what we have. Thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, we've been so we use a third party provider, Granicus. And there's another name for their processing company that I can't recall right now. But so all the payments go through their website and all the reporting goes through their website, and the only payment option there is by credit card. We did reach out to them to see if there was other options on their website, which there isn't. And we also reached out to see if there's a way we could take payment in-house and do the reporting. They've kind of come back to us and said that's not an option. And when we asked for more clarification on why we wanted to do it, they said they're going to look into it. So we're working with them on coming up with a payment system. If it's not able to be done, with our new, we're in the process of looking at new financial software and ERP system. I believe once we get that in place, that would probably solve a lot of these concerns around different types of payments.
Okay. Anything else? Councillor McKelvey.
So I had also asked for this to be pulled for discussion. So somebody can't come into our front office and pay their mat tax, then, is that?
Correct, yes.
So that seems very inconvenient for short-term rental people to me. But it sounds like you're trying to deal with Granicus and get
Yes.
this resolved, which I appreciate. The other thing was that the whole short-term rental bylaw, I thought was going to come back and be reviewed as in its entirety. And I know other townships are looking at reviewing it as well. So I'm wondering if we could get that on the agenda.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is direction that council has given staff, and our finance department and our building department are working on that report to come back to council.
Okay. Need a resolution.
I have a resolution just to receive as information.
Okay.
Moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Saini, that council receives correspondence 11.1, Mr. Kent Needham, collection of mat tax short-term rentals as information.
All those in favor? As carried. Thank you. Going on to department reports. Ms. Kosh, you're up first.
Good morning, council, and through the chair. So today's report is to seek council approval to waive the formal tender process for the purchase of earth bins. During the 2026 budget process, council approved $19,500 for the purchase of Molochs, which are a semi-underground waste collection system designed for organics. However, since this time, staff have identified an alternative organics waste collection system known as earth bins. And those details have been provided in my report. So the earth bins are a front load container, which would provide additional flexibility in the collection services that are available. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that council may have.
Councillor Ingram.
Chair, thanks, Chelsea, for checking out something other than what you had planned for. My question is, you've gone from 8,000 liter to a 5,000 liter, which is going to mean that unit's quite heavy to dump. Who dumps that? And how often? I guess that's it.
So through the chair, just to clarify, it was an 800 liter. For the,
Need it to 5.
okay, sorry, you had mentioned 8,000, so I was just,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. So how the earth bin works is that it is semi in ground as well, but you only fill to ground level. And then the front load can lift it up. So we do need to make sure that it isn't too heavy, and we're going to work with potential collection contractors
So
on
you
that.
Contract that service to get rid of material, and that would come with cost, obviously.
Yeah, so that was similar to what was proposed to council initially, was the hauling and the processing were two separate costs. So with investigation into this option, so it would take different front load trucks. So we will work with the company on that and just determine what their truck can handle.
Okay.
But with the earth bin, it is designed to only fill to ground level, so there isn't as much weight up at the top when it then lifts up.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor McKelvey.
Well, just, have we sourced the collection and, of this material? Like, we've made an agreement and we know the cost?
So through the chair, there has not been an agreement put in place at this time, but we have sourced the cost. So we had previously done that during budget preparation. So we are working at collecting a few other quotes for this service as well, which I have started to collect this week. So they have started to come in. So I've reached out to several different companies over the last few weeks, and those numbers are starting to come in. So I don't anticipate it'll be outside of the budget.
So what happens if, the program is, I don't want to say oversubscribed, but, you end up collecting more. Do you then collect more in each bin, or do you add bins, or how does that work?
So through the chair, I have proposed the purchase of 2 earth bins. So this would allow us to fill one earth bin, call it in for pickup, and then open the second earth bin. With the earth bin having such substantial capacity in comparison to the Moloch, I would anticipate far less frequent pickups of that material.
Okay, and so the pickups generally, you would call, they wouldn't be a regularly scheduled thing. They call when it's full, sort of thing like that.
Through the chair, that is correct. We would call when it's required to be picked up, similar to some of our other programs that we offer as well. It is a challenge to get collection for some materials in our area, just given where we're located. So this would provide some flexibility that if they're not able to come out immediately, that we can continue to still offer the program with the second earth bin.
Councilor Ingram.
Through the chair, seen a lot of movement next door to our landfill. Can you give us a quick update on how things are going?
Through the chair. Sorry, I didn't come prepared for this.
That's
So-
okay then.
So no,
Just bring a
no, it's okay. So we have a progress meeting this week.
Okay.
So, but the blasting, of course, is complete and the crushing is complete, and they have leveled out all of the material and they have started some of the foundational work on the scales.
Now, will this reduce Mike's day gravel? All this crushing this year? I'm just joking. There is a bit of Canada up there though, isn't there?
Through the chair, there absolutely is.
Thank you.
Councilor McKelvey.
Sorry, back to the earth. Do you have to put this organic material in a bag, or how does someone like, my husband go up there with the organic material? If we were doing that, what does he have to do?
So through the chair, those details we worked out when we move forward with the actual organics program and the implementation of it, because it does depend on the facility that takes that material. So I know I can speak to my previous experience where that facility wouldn't take compostable bags. But I know that there's sophisticated facilities that will take even kitty litter and pet waste. So once we finalize where the material will go, there's a couple of options that we're still waiting to get some information on before we proceed. So it would depend on the facility that we're going to take the organic material to.
Thank you.
Questions? We have one. Motion.
Moved by Councillor Saney, seconded by Councillor Ingram, that council receive report 26-03, waste management, purchase of earth bins for information, and that council approve waiving the requirement for a formal tender process under section 7.3, single source of procurement policy 17.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Ms. Kosh. Mr. Timmons. When you're ready.
Mayor Carter, good morning, council. What you have today, report 2605 for Public Works. For Aqua for well pump replacement at the Minden Water Treatment Plant. Over the past few weeks, a couple months, Aqua has noticed a decline in operating capacity and output of pump number 1 in the Minden Water Treatment Plant. This has been slowly reducing and now we're down to about 50%. We have flipped over to the backup pump over there for now, which is something meant for these types of situations, but generally it's not best practice. So we're looking to replace that pump. We do have some other service coming up. So we are recommending to go ahead with that at the same time to reduce some costs there. We are expecting, we've received quotes of about $25,000 to get this work done. Once pump number 1 is pulled, it'll be cleaned up, evaluated if it can be refurbished. Obviously still working at 50%. We'll keep it as a backup. If we can refurbish it and get it back up and running, that gives us a solid backup as well. So it's kind of 2 birds with 1 stone in this case, and obviously a critical piece of infrastructure. So the recommendation is to have Aqua go ahead and get that work done.
How long will that take? About?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The pump replacement, it's 4 weeks delivery from when it's approved to purchase.
And then the work itself is.
Day or 2.
Oh, okay. Any other questions? Let's read the resolution.
Moved by Councillor Johannesson, seconded by Councillor Saini, that council receives report 25-05 PW Aqua well pump replacement as information, and that council directs staff and Aqua to move forward with the replacement of well pump number 1 at the Minden Water Treatment Plant for an estimated cost of $25,000.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Ms. Doherty, you're up once again. Seems not so long ago, we had a public meeting about this. When you're ready.
Through Mr. Mayor, so for report 26-11 for PLZBA 2026-006, I don't have anything further to add.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please read the resolution.
Moved by Councillor Saini, seconded by Councillor Johannesson, that council receive report 26-11 planning as information, and further that bylaw 26-29 being a bylaw to approve a zoning bylaw amendment for the land subject of PLZBA 2026-006 be referred to the bylaw section of the agenda.
All those in favor? That is carried. Next.
Mr. Mayor, report 26-12 for PLZB 2026-008. Again, no further comments.
Any questions? Councillor Saini?
Just a comment to say that I really appreciate when the public comes and asks for clarification on how we define planning terminology into more understandable or common language. So wanted to say appreciation for that, and maybe we'll consider that more in the future. Thank you.
Resolution, please.
Moved by Councillor Ingram, seconded by Councillor Saini, that council receive report 26-12 planning as information, and further that bylaw 26-30 being a bylaw to approve a zoning bylaw amendment for the land subject of PLZBA 2026-008 be referred to the bylaw section of the agenda.
All those in favor? That is carried. Next, source water protection.
Through Mr. Mayor, for this report, I again don't have anything further to add. It doesn't sound, other than to say, it doesn't sound as though we'll have any revisions to what was brought before council and the public today. So we'll be bringing the bylaws for hopeful approval to the next meeting.
All right, and you're still collecting input, correct? Is that?
Yes, we are. I'm not necessarily anticipating any, but we are allowing that opportunity.
Okay, so we're just receiving the resolution at this point. Right. Speak the resolution.
Moved by Counselor Sani, seconded by Counselor Ingram, that council receive report 26-13 planning as information.
All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Would you be able to collect Councillor McKelvey on your way out? All right, we have a notice of motion. Councillor Sani.
Yes, thank you for this. Quite a number of years ago, when we had the Climate Change Action Plan Committee here in Minden Hills, many of the residents spent a lot of work on a dark sky bylaw. This is a bylaw that was, it's an international initiative. Many of our surrounding communities like Bracebridge and Huntsville have adopted it. Tiny, Tiny, getting my teeny tinies mixed up. Tiny Township has also adopted it. And what it means is that you're going to be able to see the night sky. And what happens in many cities, as you can see, we have such bright lights and they're pointing upward. And that's the issue, that all of a sudden kids are growing up with never seeing the stars in big cities. So as we grow, many of our rural areas are adopting this dark sky bylaw, which means that when we are developing and growing, our lighting is not going to be skyward. It's going to be focused on towards the ground and towards safety. The proposal of bylaw was completed and drafted, but never came back to council. We've had many staff changes. We've had many kinds of issues why we couldn't get this actually onto our plate and get it adopted. So what I'm asking is that I've sent in information on the dark sky bylaw, and I'm asking that we can bring this before the end of this term of council to get this before council. So if anybody wants any information, there's lots of information online. There's the draft that we had from that committee that worked with the planner at that time, and several other bits of information. So please consider it. It's an environmental issue we considered really important then, and I'd really like to see this get passed before the end of this council. Thank you.
Right, so you're just bringing the notice that you're going to put something on the agenda.
Yes, I will be repeating this at the next one. Thank you.
All right. Bylaws.
Moved by Counselor Sisson, seconded by Counselor McKelvey. Be it resolved that the following bylaws be received and read a first time, considered read a second time and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed. Bylaw 26-29 PLZBA 2026-006 and bylaw 26-30 PLZBA 2026-008.
All those in favor? It's carried. Confirmation bylaw.
Moved by Counselor Sisson, seconded by Counselor McKelvey, that bylaw 26-33, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council held during its meeting of March 12, 2026, be received and read a first time, considered read a second and third time, and finally passed with the corporate seal affixed.
All those in favor? That is carried. Adjournment.
Moved by Counselor Ingram, seconded by Counselor Sani. Be it reserved that the March 12th, 2026 regular council meeting is hereby adjourned at 9:58.
All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Our next regular council meeting scheduled for Thursday, March 26th at 9 a.m. The Huskies have had a tough start to their playoff, but they will be turning it around tonight. So get everybody out there to cheer them on. Thank you.